She was trying to do too much in the back.
Yeah, I had to. My nurse was texting me.
Hey, we're
Sorry.
live. That's all
Okay.
right.
Hi. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody.
Hey y'all.
Yeah.
Good
Well, good
morning.
morning. Right. Good morning, you guys. So welcome to Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. Um, Listen, it's us five beautiful ladies early in the morning trying to get it together as we live the life that women live. So welcome. And sorry, I don't know what to say. It is what it is. Get used to it. So listen, we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves, introduce the room, and of course, get started on today's topic, which I'm kind of excited, you guys. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm excited about it. So I'll start off. I am Jamika Anderson. I'm CEO and owner of Harmony and Power Institute, where I help women and children who lack confidence and clarity achieve harmony and power within themselves so that they can create the life that they desire. I'm going to pass it over to you, Shelly.
Good morning, you guys. Shelly A. Carter out of New Jersey, founder of Housing Ministry LLC, making home ownership attainable and sustainable.
Carmel.
I'll jump in. Hey, I'm Carmel Jean-Francois out of New York City, owner and founder of CFIT Coaching, working with women over 40 on their health, wellness, fitness, and nutrition goals. So my goal is so that every woman that I work with feels, looks, and is healthy, sexy, and strong inside and out. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Dr. Jamesia.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Jamesia, the nurse practitioner extraordinaire. I'm also your intermittent fasting and mindset coach, YouTube influencer, author, speaker, all the things, and 1/5 of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. Good morning, y'all. Passing it to you,
Good.
Aisha.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Debbie Maisha, and I'm the Sensual Energy Alchemist, teacher of sensual feminine energetics, I was about to say sensual desire. That's really interesting for women who are looking to align with their unique sensual expression, their power, and their confidence, and create more orgasmic lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. And welcome to the show, everybody. You are here with Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. And ladies, we are the Black Coffee. Sometimes our lips drip with honey, and sometimes we've got grits, which means we've got sass class and all that ass. We welcome you to our show. We are live on Facebook and YouTube at 7 a.m. on Tuesdays, and we are on Clubhouse Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 7 a.m., and also Saturdays at 11 a.m. for our mental health room. Now, here in this space, we like to, as Dr. Jamesia says, have hot coffee topics where we discuss things that apply to real women living real lives. In our space, we're generally not telling you what to do, but it's Jamaica leading, so she is. But we're always telling you what we do. We welcome you to comment respectfully on both platforms, and we look forward to engaging with you. Jamaica, take it
All
away.
right. So listen, y'all. Last week we had a lot of conversations, and there was one that stuck out, or there was a comment that stuck out to me, and I wrote that thing down. I was like, "Say what?" Like it was like one of those bomb droppers, like boom, and then all the shatter, whatever, it went all across the place, and I was like, that's the way to look at it. Okay, okay. So I'm gonna just bring the comment to the forefront and for everybody just to kind of talk about it how they see fit, whether it's, how it looks, how it sounds, how you feel about it. Yeah. So the comment, you guys, listen. Someone said, you're trying to fix parental problems in romantic relationships. And when I heard that, why you turn like that? Why you turn so fast, girl?
Because I remember that comment, and I had the same response. I was like, "Ooh, that was good. That was real good," which is really true for a lot of us.
Right.
Anyway.
For most. And sometimes it's knowing and unknowing. So I just wanted to bring that topic to the conversation, to the forefront, because I was just like, when I heard it, I was just like, wow. And even I thought about therapy, and people in therapy, like they're always trying to get to the root, which they always say it's a mother or a father issue. You know what I'm saying? So
Repeat that statement again, Jamika.
we're trying to fix parental relationships in romantic partnerships. Y'all just letting it sit,
That's
let it
deep.
marinate.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Look,
It's
grab
not.
my
It's not. Yeah, it's not. I'm like, yeah. That's actually that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that I agree. I mean, but I never. That's just so simplistic and broken down. I, you know, it takes years of therapy behind that statement. So anyway,
So I mean, in order to get the conversation started or started as well, how has that statement shown up for you? Like, and in this case right now, we don't have to go into anything personal, but how can you see that in everyday life where people are in these relationships and you're just like, that's your mama, look, that's your mama or daddy issues showing up. So how do y'all think about it? What's going on? Tell me your business.
Okay. Well, no. I mean, I'll tell mine because I mean, I've 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 been in therapy on and off since I was 10. I asked to go to therapy, right? So I've had decades of the therapy. But when I was looking at my own marriage, at first I was like, oh, and I look at this with each of my relationships. I really do. I start to track what's happening. Um, and and my first like real boyfriend relationship, I don't know which role I played, but in my marriage, I thought I was playing my mother, but I was actually playing my father. And my ex-husband was very much like my mother. And so I really had to look at the dynamics of what was happening. And because I had already been unraveling a lot of those patterns in the relationships that I had with each parent, I was able to see it. And then I was able to see it even more clearly after the divorce. And I was, like for some years after the divorce, I was really able to see it. So when I look at I can't look at other people's relationships and tell them like which parent they're trying to be because I don't know their parents. But I can spot people's relationships and I can see very clearly which patterns they are playing out in their relationships and what they're looking to get from the relationship, which is not the purpose of a relationship. It's not to get something from somebody, but that's a whole nother lie. But I can now spot that in other people. But yeah, I see it very clearly in myself which role I'm playing or which behaviors I have where I'm like, ooh, I need to check myself on that. I know where that's coming from.
Okay. And I kind of understand that too. Like for me, even what you just said, you're like which parent I'm playing, and I'm like, I never even thought of it as a character suit, right? That I'm
Hmm.
taking off this role and then I'm putting on this role of this person. I always looked at it as just like the patterns, like what you said, and the mixture of patterns, like it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle or something like that. The
Hmm.
combination of patterns, whether good or bad, from each individual parent. So for me personally, like I have the Captain Save-A-Ho syndrome, so I can spot out Captain Save-A-Ho syndrome in other people because like that was something that I was gifted from one of my parents, right? And so I saw it. I reproduced it, whether knowingly or unknowingly, right? And then where it is where I'm trying to, like what you say, we're trying to fix our patterns, right? We're trying to identify them in order to fix them. And I think that, that plays a lot into um, triggers, right? Because people always talk about
Hmm.
triggers and that, oh my gosh, I'm about to be triggered. Stop doing what you're doing. And it's not about the other person. Like, if you're freaking
Yeah.
triggered, that's your problem. Like, fix it. And I think that's the thing that people don't want to do either. They want you to change so that they can respond a certain way. And it's like, no, you have to change you. Like, this is your response to this stimuli, but this stimuli can shift and vary and you're still gonna have a trigger. You get what I'm saying? Um,
Absolutely.
and that's wild and crazy to me. But how
Uh,
you
you
just
know,
explained that was good for me. Like I
you
was like, oh, okay.
the good thing about it is you identified a major pattern, and I think we all have major patterns, and then there's like these underlying things. And to me, at this point, it's not about like, okay, let me try to fix every pattern. Like that's enough to drive anybody insane. It's really, am I aware of the pattern and how can I shift my behavior if this pattern isn't working for me? My major pattern is similar to the Captain Save a Hole, but it's I'm the triage rehabilitation center. So I like to take men who I think are somehow broken or sad or the wounded boy in them, and I just want to take in the wounded boy and I want to heal him so that he can love me, but I choose wounded boys who will push me away at the same time. So I have to try to fight for the love while it's being pushed away at the same time. But if I find a wounded boy who loves me, then I'll push him away at the same time. So there's always this thing that's happening with me. It's always this push pull. It's a never I can just accept it, but there must always be a wounded boy in the equation in order for that to work. And the new thing is, okay, well, what does it look like for me to be with like a grown man? I don't know what that looks like yet, but but that's the new thing. Like what would that look like? I don't have a clue. But that was always my major pattern. I loved being the triage nurse for the wounded boys and making them feel all loved and wanted.
But I think about that too, and it's making me think because this, y'all know when I be doing my work, I be like, it's me, like it's me. Um, but even when you're saying that about the wounded boy, so where's the wounded girl? You get what I'm saying?
That's who's choosing the wounded boy.
Right. But what's the
Right.
wound? You get what I'm saying? Like that's where I start asking the questions. Like even with me trying to be Captain Saberhole, it's like how do I need to be saved? And when am I going to step up and save myself, and how can I save myself in this certain situation? Um and show up for myself, because even with the going live for 30 days and whatever else, like that has been one of those things where even I remember on day 3 I was like, I'm just tired, I don't want to do this, da da da. And I had to talk to myself and be like, no, like you have to show up for yourself in order for you. And it's like each and every one of these days, even if it's at the butt crack of the hour, I'm like, you have to show up for yourself, even if it's just for 2 minutes, so that you can understand that's what you were needing. You get what I'm saying? And that you're fulfilling that role for you, so that it's not I gotta be a captain save a hole for this next person, so that I can feel like this person, or even giving that person the opportunity to not show up for me,
Right.
because that's another piece of that puzzle, that you know what I'm saying, that jigsaw puzzle, is that abandonment and you know being seen type of thing as well.
And those are the real underlying pieces. Is that is the is it when you I tell people, well, the women that I work with anyway, look at your life from 0 to 7. Look at your parental relationships. Look at where there was a feeling that you may have had a feeling abandoned. We're usually trying to chase that
Mm.
because that's a horrible feeling as a child, and we don't know why adults are doing what they're doing. We make the assumption as a child that it's us, and it gets embedded in our psyche, in our mind. It could be very benign. You could have a parent who worked a lot of overtime, and that's just regular normal life. But in a child's mind, it's my parent is always leaving me, and now this is the thing that I need to find or chase or grab in all of my relationships. You could have this idea that no one's going to be there for me, right? If you had a parent who just couldn't be around, no one's going to be there. So now in all of your relationships, you push everybody away. You let them get just so close, but if they start to get too close, you're like, nah, that's close enough, right? So, but when we really look at from 0 to 7, those formative years, we can start to see, oh, where did this come from? How did this happen? And now how is that showing up in my life now?
Right. And I can agree, and I guess that's too, you know at, look, I got like 3 things in my head. One, I guess that's too why therapists go back, and they're always trying to get you to do the back work, right? But as a coach, you and I both understand, everybody on the stage, I don't go backwards. I can help you identify some of those things, but I don't fix what happened in the past. That is
Right.
the therapist's job. What I can do is help you identify it. And then, like what you said, how do we move with this forward? Right. And so, one of the things that I've been saying lately to some of my clients is that, okay, now that you're aware of it, it's not to say that you have to change everything. And I think you mentioned that a little bit too. It's not to change everything because everybody right now is like, fix, fix, fix. It's a trigger. It's a, it's this. I got boundaries. Okay, everything doesn't have to be fixed, but be aware that this is your response to this type of stimuli. Now, how long are you going to stay in it? Because now that you're aware of it, you should be able to move through things a little bit quicker. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of
Yes.
people, they're in places where it's like, yeah, but I don't know how to, or I don't want to. Sometimes it's not even a how, like the steps to do it.
Right.
Because sometimes there's no steps, it's just action. And I think
Right.
that is something for people to realize that there's not always steps. It's just you realize that this is what's happening, and then you say, or you understand, okay, I've experienced this, I don't want to experience this again. Hey, this isn't working out for me, and move on. But sometimes,
Right.
because we're trying to work through those parental issues, we want to hang on to this person. You get what I'm saying? And we continue to deal with all the foolishness with this particular person, when that person was just to show you, be that reflection, and be a highlight for you to say, hey, this is still something that you're dealing with. you know how do you now navigate with this, or how do you get rid of it, or whatever it is. So,
I'm gonna give a real life example, and I'm gonna hush in case any of the other ladies, because I, cause
I
I,
want to
I
know
love
too.
the I love the abstract, but sometimes people are like, what? So real life example, um, as a woman, I'm dating a dude, and we're getting, it's getting there, the feelings are there, and normally he texts me in the morning like, good morning. Well, now it's a Wednesday morning, he didn't text me good morning, and I don't hear from him. Now, and true story. And, now stomach is in knots. He normally texts me. Why isn't he texting me? What happened? Maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe he's just trying to find a way to tell me he doesn't like me. The stories are playing out. Oh my gosh, what is happening? He texts me, hey, at 11:30. Me, hey, is everything okay? Because you didn't text me. Or even if he doesn't text, hey, is everything okay? You didn't text me. Normally you text me by 9 a.m. I was just wondering, did something happen? Is everything okay? That's unaware, right? True story. Hello. That's unaware. Awareness is it's Wednesday. He didn't text me. Okay, normally he texts me. Well, let me hey, just checking in. You good? It's like, yeah, sorry, Dave got away from me, da 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 da, or whatever it is, right? Da 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 da, or whatever it is. But it's not that the thing was fixed. It's that there's an awareness of me saying, okay, he didn't text. I know that there's some abandonment issues coming up in me. There's a whole story that's playing in my mind. Okay, well, what can I do to help alleviate this story? I've got my tools, whatever those tools are, all of that. Now let me respond to him. Let me see what's actually going on. But when you're not aware and you're playing out these patterns that we're talking about, you get into an argument with somebody because they triggered you. And you don't even realize that you're in an argument with them because the 6-year-old girl in you is scared that this person is leaving you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
All right, now
You know,
hush.
you know when I hear the question, when I heard what Jamaica asked, and you responded, Maisha, I didn't think of it in terms of playing a particular role. But as you continue to talk, you kind of came on the same page as what I thought I heard when she said it. Because when she said what she said, in my mind, I was like, okay, not that I play a particular role of a parent, but that I am trying to fulfill an unmet need um, within, right? So I do see that sometimes in me and in relationships. And yes, I've been in counseling, done counseling. I think counseling is I think everybody probably should try some counseling, you know, and through that and self-development books, all of those things, yes, my issues come up, but at this point I manage them. I don't I don't look for anyone else to manage them. Um, and I give myself what I need, and I don't look for someone else to do that. So definitely recognize them. It doesn't go away, y'all. Even with therapy, it doesn't go away. It just doesn't. It's just who you are, your makeup. You are able to manage, and you're able to recognize, and you're able to sabotage less, but it doesn't go away. So
Sabotage less.
yeah, so less, right? Honestly. So that's where, that's what I see in me in relationships. And yes, Maisha, at one point I can remember feeling that way about a phone call or about something, a pattern that I saw that changed.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it wasn't, and that's also how whether your therapy, self-help, reading, or whatever is working, when you actually see it. When
Yeah.
you don't see it, it's like, you're kind of in a in a fog. So
And the goal is
that's
to find
why
somebody
therapy
who's
is
doing the
good.
same thing. Yeah,
Huh?
the goal is to find somebody who's doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to find somebody who's like, hey, so you seem a little
Right.
different today. Is this the thing we discussed before? Is this really about me? Is there something else happening? The goal
Hmm.
is to find someone who can see that versus somebody who I start coming, they start coming. Now we both are doing this, and the next thing you know, there's this whole blown out argument. It's not the goal isn't to find somebody who's completely healed. It's to find somebody who can say, let's pause for a minute.
Hmm.
This seems like something else is happening here.
Hmm. Yeah, and I found that um, in the current relationship that I'm in now, when I'm feeling some kind of way or I'm feeling something, it doesn't matter. I'll bring something up, and what it doesn't matter what he says. I have to fully express what I'm feeling and saying why, and then being able to move past it. Because if I don't, I'm making a whole narrative in my mind about what I think is happening. So, and even after I've expressed, okay, I think this is what happened. Is this true? And even if he says yes or no, whatever it is, it helps me to just relax and move through it. So, yeah.
And I like what y'all was saying. I wrote it down so that I wouldn't forget. Look, but when you guys were saying it, like the goal is to find someone who can see that in you and bring that to the forefront, and like let's discuss it, let's talk about it, let's move past it, let's work together. That is a perfect area to be in versus someone who, because I hate this idea, like people all the time, look, just drop everything. People all the time are like, oh well, I need you to be healed when you come in a relationship with me. And it's like, nobody's freaking healed. That doesn't exist. Like, I don't know what fairy
You
tale
be
land
alone
you're
forever.
living in. Yeah, that doesn't exist. Everybody has issues. Everybody has trauma, drama, all of the above. It's how you work through it and how you work together and work on yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because when
And you're
people
not
are
going to
coming,
find that. You're not going to find out about it, Jamaica, being solo. I
right.
mean, you can help, you can work on it and all that, but you're not even going to know whether the work actually worked unless you're in relation.
Until, yeah.
Right. And that's my favorite thing to say too. And and the thing about it is some people do, like a lot of people do actually. You need that time to retreat and to go in and to do some of the work. But retreating and isolation is two different things.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I think a lot of people have a tendency to just want to isolate. And it's like, no, you can't cut off the well, you can cut off the whole world, but it doesn't mean that that's what's going to make you a better person or going to make you feel good. And I think too, to bring that up, I remember being younger and the parents being like, well, just get over it. And your grandparents or whatever, okay, that happens, and what, and now what, now what you gonna do? And I think because it sounded harsh when we were that younger age, it's like nobody cares about me, whatever else. But it's like, no, it's a real question, right? Okay, and now what are you gonna do to move forward? What actions are you gonna take? Like what's the next thing? Because we can't necessarily change the past,
Hmm.
right? These things have happened. They're not happening. And so in order for you to shift, right? Because if you still stay in what happened, then it's going to continue to happen to you. You get what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so how do you shift? How do you move forward? And that's kind of like what we say, what strategies are you putting in place so that you don't remain in that garbage even longer?
Right. And for me, I think for me, the main thing is not trying to block it and act like it's not existing. The main thing for me is to work through it, recognize myself, recognize what's real, what's not, and then, working through it and moving forward.
When you said that, Dr. Jamesia, it made me think, and I say this like relationships will work, and I believe that, but and I also believe that when something Carmel said about it being an adventure, when you find the right person to be with, that work becomes discovery. It doesn't feel like, "Ugh, I gotta figure this out or do that." The when you encounter a disagreement, when you encounter a space where you're grinding up against each other, where you're each meeting these unhealed parts of yourself, it can become this beautiful discovery that the two of you are this adventure that you're on together, like uncharted territory. All right, I was in a mood last night, y'all, so I'm still in that mood this morning, but go on ahead. So
I was here listening to what you said. I don't know what they got to do with your mood or whatever, but I was
I
like,
was I was
yes.
out
I
Yeah,
was
last
like
night.
like,
I
what
was
does it
yes.
have to do with your mood?
Right. Because,
because last night because I'm feeling all mushy right now. So I'm just
girl,
thinking about that,
enjoy
like
the
this
ride.
this this idea of like wanting to have your person that you get into these conflicts with. To me, like that used to be something I would want to avoid or run away from. Now to me it's just like, I would love to have like, no, you know what, go ahead. Nope.
Well, I thought about two things when you were talking. One is this idea that iron sharpens iron, right? And so
Yes.
when you're going through that, it does not feel good. But when you come out on the other side, how sharp and pristine and how quick bladed. I don't know, y'all. I used to be into blades back in the day, but my great grandmother had like one of them things that cut hair in half. Hair. Let me pronounce it because y'all know I'm a little country. That would split hair in half, like the blade. You know what I'm saying? It was so sharp.
Mhm.
And I was like, I want one of those. But anyway, that's what it kind of made me think about when you were saying that, like iron sharpening iron. In the process, sometimes is dreary, right? It's just like, oh my gosh, or tedious, or all these other things. But on the other side of it, it's like, how prestigious can this be? And I know, like, I be watching these little videos or whatever, where people have been together for 25 plus years and whatever else, and they're just giving their take on relationships, and they're, of course, there are always those ones that's like, don't give up. And so, but then it kind of translates, it's kind of like a faulty translation, because for me, when I think of it, they're saying don't give up, but they're saying don't give up in your committed relationship, as where other people take that don't give up, and it's like, this person haven't even committed to you, right?
Mm.
And so it's like the placement of that, we have to be careful, because we stick into these relationships. A couple things coming to mind, but anyway, we stick into these relationships, and it's like, it's a somebody said this the other day, and I don't even know what I was watching, but it was like, I think it was like Ace and his crew, right? But the guy was like, I don't believe in a relationship before a relationship. Like, you're single until somebody puts a ring on your finger, and they ask you for a committed relationship, right? You get engaged to get married, because the other relationships is like a preview to a relationship, but they're still not committed to you. You get what I'm saying? And so
But
No,
you're
then the
ma'am, not
girl,
over here. Not
but
over
then the
here, but
girl,
go on.
no, but then the girl said, she was like, well, no, how do you even know whether the person can be committed if they're not trying to be committed prior to the commitment?
That
Do you
sounds like a
understand?
right,
whole
but
lot of
that's
that
still
sounds like too much
that's
conversation.
It was.
Listen, if you are my man, we are committed. Whether I've got
Yes,
rings or not.
exactly.
If you are
And
my
he was
man,
trying to say that
we are
wasn't the
committed.
case.
That's
I
it.
think,
Well,
but for me, I think it just the conversation has to be had because I think a
yes.
lot of the time what happens is, and I can only speak from a female point of view because that's who I am and that's what I see, right? The most is that you'll have a guy and they'll do all the things, but you haven't had that relationship. Like, are we together? Look, are
You
we
hadn't
together?
had that
Are we gonna be together?
conversation.
Or be together? Yeah,
Right.
and to have that conversation to understand the plan, right? The vision. Like like what we say all the time, write that shit down and make it plain. Like what's the plan? Because you as the man, like I don't necessarily have to go through you to understand it, but is this what you're working towards? Is this what we're doing? No, yes or no. Look, I'm like the little kids. Yes or no? Give me
Check
one of the
check
two.
yes. We go together. Check yes or no. This is what we
Right.
saying.
Let's make it simple. Not no maybe, not no sometimes. Do we go together? Okay. But
She
then
do.
we can start on this journey because sometimes we're not having those conversations. We're just falling into stuff and then you're trying to be committed and then you get upset because this person is talking to two, three, four different people. And this is for both sides because some men do the same thing. They want a woman who's just for them, but then they go talk to three, four different girls. You get what I'm saying? Or they have this one woman or whatever else and she's doing what he's doing. They both talking to dating and talking to people and then he wants to shame her into just being with him. You get what I'm saying? And all of that stuff comes from parental issues. I even seen the little thing with a little boy. The teacher was on the playground and was like, we protect, talking to the little boy, we protect women, we protect girls, da da da. And she was like, "Did your daddy hit your mama?" And he was like, "Yeah, he knocked her into the wall and she came in my room and he told her she can't be here." And I was like,
Hey,
"What the
what?
hell?" Look, 2023. Well, you right. Look, okay. Well, I don't know what to do with that. But, these are parental problems that we pull into relationships. We mimic what we see.
All right, Shelly, Carmel, y'all waiting for our entryway? Y'all know y'all need to just jump
I
on in the
know, right?
conversation. Maybe they're just listening today.
She don't know what to
Yeah,
I'm
do.
just listening.
I
I'm
was listening. I was definitely hearing everybody's point of view. I didn't feel like I had anything to contribute, so I didn't.
ditto.
But right. Um, and I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when the question was posed and was asked, what role are we playing? I honestly couldn't find a role. And I'm sitting there thinking about my relationships with my relationship with my parents, my parents' relationship with each other, how they behaved with us and how we behaved with them, and what a relationship looks like, what I perceived a relationship to be based on their example. And I really couldn't find a parallel. And I'm thinking, well, maybe because I haven't really been in too many adult relationships that lasted any long. And I said, well, maybe Carmel, you have something there. So as everybody's talking, I was really kind of like fishing. Well, what role am I playing? What am I acting out? What am I repeating? And the only thing I could really think of, and by the way, I do agree that everybody should have some type of counseling or therapy. I have never, and lately I've been thinking I might benefit from something like that because I feel like I have a good head on my shoulders. I feel like I have a good grasp of life, but there's probably, you don't know what you don't know, right? So as far as the relationship aspect is concerned, I was thinking that what I do see is that two things about dad. He was the funniest. Like he made us laugh to the point where we were crying, bent over and laughing. And I said, if a man can ever make me laugh, I am marrying him, right? Because I just adored my dad. And another thing, though, was I've mentioned before, dad was a New York City cab driver. We woke up, he wasn't home. He had already left for work. And when we went to bed, he still wasn't home because he was still in the city driving around making a fare so he can pay a mortgage and make sure that he pays for three children's Catholic private schooling, right? Raise a family. So I feel like dad was in those 0 to 7 and even beyond, he was not really really around. Like we got him on Sundays. We got him on certain days. And when he was there, he was there. He was present. But I feel like the pattern in the guys that I date, they're never available to me. And I've made it okay. And I've made it kind of like oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's working or he's building his career or he has other children. His time is split and I'm good. I'm independent. I'm good. I don't He does what he does and as long as when he's with me, he's fully present with me. And those have been the guys. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not a cool pattern. And I've always said to myself, well, lately I've been saying to myself, I want somebody for me that will give me the time and attention, and his time and attention is not split. So that's what I came up with, guys. That's where I'm at.
And and yay, because and then the flip of that is the thing that we seek in other people is what we are. So if I seek out unavailable people, it is because I am unavailable. I am not available for all of that. Okay, well, why am I not available for all of that? Well, maybe I don't want to end up in the pattern that I've seen the other women in my family in. Nope, you're not going to just tie me down like that. I'm going to be a free woman. I've seen all the women in my family be underneath these men. That's not going to happen to me. I'm not available. So because I'm not available, I'm going to choose dudes who are kind of not available because we are not going to end up right in that pattern. And I've seen that even in my own family. Right? And so these things that we have in our minds, they filter into, because we're going to choose people to represent the thing that we're trying to run away from, while simultaneously claiming to want this thing over here. But we're going to choose people who are going to show to us the thing that we are trying very hard to run away from. Just throwing that out there.
Mm.
And I was sitting up there. Go, you going, Shelley? Go ahead.
I don't really even know what to say. Well, yes, I do, but
Tell the truth.
my issue is I got half dad, half mom. I'll travel two roads. Right now, I'm married to my mother. That's a hell of a story. Two Geminis, two people, four people, two bodies. Very interesting. But for me, I think it's my father. And you guys hear me say stuff about what I want to do with Herman. But for a long time, my first marriage, for sure, I took on those masculine roles, and daddy being Mr. You can always, I say Captain Save Somebody. I don't like saying it the other way. But yeah, I'm listening and I'm being quiet because I'm trying to digest it all. And I think the most honest thing I can muster is that I saw my father sacrifice himself, sacrifice us as a family, trying to take care of people who didn't either need it or didn't appreciate it. It sounds so romantic, but I saw him taking care of people who didn't seem like they appreciate it. And when I look at my life, I'm like, oh yeah, just bringing the cycle into the next generation and just doing the same thing. So only thing I can tell you is that I am identifying that behavior and trying not to duplicate it. And in the relationships, there was a book that was brought to my attention. I looked for it too. It was Getting Into I Do. And I remember the author, and I had it, but it got lost in all the moves. And in that book, she was very specific about identifying your role. Who are you? And just because you're the female doesn't mean you are the feminine energy in your relationship. And you have to understand what it is you're really looking for. And she was advising people to get rid of the norms and identify who you are and what you want, and or just, if you're going to be in the masculine, be in the masculine. If you're going to be in the feminine, and if that's what you want, then be in the feminine. But you have to choose a place, a real place, not a made up place, not a sounds nice place. And I remember holding on to that because one of the things that stood out to me was she said, never do more for your partner than they do for you. And it was, if your partner gives you, I don't even know how to put it, but she said just women are just busy being busy. And she said that extra energy you are you are emitting a role other than what you say. So if your partner gives you something cute and small, and then all of a sudden you wig out and you've got to give them back this big, huge thank you, she was like that. She said men are not going to respond to that. And I really got to find that book because I think if I could find it, it would be really like so many talking points. But I bring it up because after I read that, that was one of the things for me with marriage number one, where the friend, the pseudo psychologist was like, you guys are having problems. It's not just communication problems. It's that he's thinking he's the man, you're thinking he's the woman. Y'all are not doing what you need to do. And we talked about it then. She said, you're busy taking care of everybody else. You're not taking care of yourself. It's years later, and I'm still just starting to do that work. I'm just starting to break down that I don't want to take care of anybody but me and my small human because he can't take care of himself. And to make that little boy take care of himself too. But yeah, if I ever get there, I'll report back. But right now, the closest I can contribute to this is just saying, yeah, I am trying to definitely, because Jamaica, you're talking about those parental relationships. Okay, I will go further. You guys know I like to stray. I know a man who I cannot stand. Forgive the rhyme. But I wind up being forced to deal with this man, and I know he just doesn't like his mama. I know he doesn't like his mama, and I hate that I have to work with him because the behavior and and I just want to be able to see in myself what I can see in other people. So that's what I'm working on, is being able to tune into myself, my triggers, my whatever those things are, um, and my reality. And that's a work in progress for me. So yeah, that's it.
Look, that's a word. When you were saying that, I'm like, that's a whole word. Cause baby, that be the struggle. But and it's funny that you said it. So for those of y'all who listening, because I know I catch it and then y'all be like, what was the word? When she said, when Shelly said to be able to see in myself what I see in other people. And that can be both the positive and the negative, right? Being able, like for me, I catch more so the negative of what I see in others and myself. And so that's why I think I excuse a lot of what people do because I'm like, girl, you ain't no better. You get what I'm saying? But to be able to see the positives, because that's where my work has been, right? Is that if I'm surrounded by these amazing people, that means I have to be amazing. But I have never told myself previously that I'm amazing. So then to start saying that, because I can see the low points, right? I can see, because I remember me and a couple of my friends, my friend was like, oh, that girl, she's still talking to him, and y'all know how some of us people can get sometimes. That girl's still talking to him, and he be talking to all these people, and she know that, and da 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 da. And I'm like, listen, I can't talk nothing about that girl because I could be in a relationship with the right one and be done glazed over, be like, okay, he all right. I don't even mind. It ain't even that serious. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it may be. But I was like, I've done that before. So that makes me no better than she is. So I can't talk about her because I've been in that situation. Whereas a lot of people can, and I had this conversation with my aunt this weekend. Whereas a lot of people, they start to change themselves. And so then once they change, they feel everybody else should change too, and they feel everybody else should know better and do better, or you're wrong for doing X, Y, and Z. You know, like in the super safe household that I be in, you know, I'll be like, oh, I think what was it? Oh, me and my sister was talking about wine, and she was like, oh, mom has these wine glasses. I'm gonna take these wine glasses with me, because she ain't gonna let me drink wine in her house. And I was like, well, just tell her Jesus turned water into wine. She's like, I tried that one, but it ain't work. She was like, but he didn't drink it. I said, just tell her you don't know if he drunk it. You weren't there. It just the Bible didn't include it. I say, if he turned it into water into wine, why wouldn't he partake in it? I be saying some random stuff like that. Um, but ultimately, it's like when you were younger, though, you drunk wine before. So why is it an issue for this person, your child, to drink wine as she's of age? And it's kind of like, I get gluttony. You don't want her to be drunk around you or, whatever else, but don't sit there and make it seem like you're just all good and mighty that she can't do any of these things. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that happens too, where our parents try to repress a lot of things for us, so we act out even more because of the repression, right? Because of the inability to do what you really want to do.
Mm. Yeah, that's deep. There was something that Shelley said that really that struck something else in me, and it was something that I didn't realize until later on when she was talking about the masculine and feminine, and everybody's running around talking about this stuff. It's like big buzzwords. And I don't think a lot of people really understand what masculine and feminine energy is. But one of the things that I had to look at for myself is that I had a habit of choosing men who appeared to be masculine, but were actually very feminine. And what that did for me was it always put me in the masculine role of having to handle everything, though I swore I wanted to be the soft feminine, but I actually didn't trust that.
Right.
I didn't trust being able to relax that way. And honestly, I think a lot of Black women are in that space, right? Where hence all everybody's running around with the wannabe hashtag soft life, because they're trying, like the women are trying to find a balance. But when I look even at my marriage, my ex-husband presented as this really, like, he had all the male man qualities that one would see outwardly, but really he was like, I was running the show. He, doing all of the things, and it was very confusing, which caused a lot of conflict. And I look back and I'm like, bruh, if I'd have just known that that was what it was supposed to be, I'd have just took over and did what needed to be done. I wouldn't have been coming to you trying to have you do all the things that you weren't trying to do. I probably just wouldn't have been with him anyway, because I would have got tired of that. But I think that that's something for us to look at. Now, if you're a woman who enjoys that role, then you need to choose a feminine man. And most of the time we'd be like, no, I don't want that. Okay, but you can't choose a masculine man and want to be a masculine woman. It's not gonna really work that way. But I noticed that there's probably there there might have been one relationship, maybe where he had masculine energy, and I had my feminine, but I was so young, that was so all out of control, it was gross. But I think that that's something for us to look at as women, like, which do we actually prefer to play? And sometimes we think we're supposed to be the feminine one, and we think what we have an idea of what that means, and we don't want to be any of that. And that's number one. Number two, we think we want to be the feminine one, but we really don't. We actually prefer the masculine role, which is fine, but just choose the complement to that. And I think that's something we need to understand.
Well,
While you were saying that, and it made me think about what I was going to say earlier too, is that we have ideas of what feminine and masculine look like,
mhm.
and it doesn't mean that that's what it is.
Oh,
Because
that's not what it is. But
well, it's a couple things. So Miss Francis is over here in the chat, and I do want to address a lot of what she's been saying. But let me start with this first. So we have this idea that feminine means that all you have to do is be soft, right? Or you just melt into whatever this man wants. But if you really look at what feminine is, it is not just that, right?
No.
Femininity, we hook on so many things to this masculine quality, not understanding that it is also feminine. To be harsh, quote unquote harsh, it's still feminine, right? To be direct, to be honest, to be um y'all know I'm trying not to use the word because y'all know I said it the other one, but to be a little itch to somebody, that is all still pieces of being feminine. Because just like yesterday or last night, I was driving through this storm. I was driving, I saw lightning flashing and, everything happening. And I'm like, oh snap. I see the skies getting black. I'm like, oh snap. And then I'm driving through this rain and I can't see for real. And I'm driving at like 5 miles per hour. You get what I'm saying? Trying to slow down so I can make sure that I can see. The winds are blowing, and it's blowing hard. My sister was like, it was hell. And I was like, that might have been what it was too, a little hell coming. I don't know. I was just like, I'm just trying to get here to where I need to be safely. But within all of that, that is Mother Nature. That's what we call her, right? Mother Nature. And Mother Nature has some tendencies to be very brutal and violent. And people don't understand that that is a part of the feminine energy as well.
Yep.
Because in actuality, women in nature are protectors. If you look at the lion and the lioness, who goes out for the hunt? It's the
Yep.
lioness, it's not the lion. So you
Yep.
have to understand that. And what's random is that the men only protect you from men. Period. And that's in all things in nature. Men only protect you from men. Outside of that, if you're in your true feminine role, there
You're
is no
getting
need
stuff
for a
done.
man to protect you outside of from another man. Like you are very direct, you're very assertive. And what's happening is that we're pretending and we're not wanting to be assertive. We're not wanting to look a certain way, right?
And
And
that's all programming, Jamika.
right. And that's where our detriment is coming in because we won't be direct. We won't say what we want. Even when I've been watching, a while ago I told y'all I was watching Downton, not Downton Abbey. What the other one is? Queen
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton
Queen
with
Charlotte,
Queen
whatever.
Charlotte. And within me watching this show, because I watched it back to back, it's good. If y'all ain't watched it, go watch it. Go check it out, baby.
It was
She was
good.
giving me my life. But within me watching it, I was realizing and having these epiphanies that it's if you're going to say that you're a queen, you have to act as such. And the queen, even with the king and stuff like that, and the queen has to do things that they don't want to do. You have to think of the good of your nation, just not the good of yourself. But you have to keep yourself in order and in check, and to such a prestigious level to understand that everything under you has to be protected as well. But if you're not thinking of yourself as higher, right? Because we have these ideas, you don't want to be seen too much, or you don't want to be da da da. No, you have to come at things direct. You get what I'm saying? And you have to know what you want. You have to know what it's supposed to look like. And we always talk about the man having the vision. It's not necessarily that. Can you implement the vision? Can we co-create a vision of what these things look like together? You are force. I am power. As a woman, I am the power. As a man, you are the force behind the power. So when we understand who we truly are and what we truly are, and understand how to be in your right place, because they talk about these things, but I don't feel it as if they're really getting in depth with it. You get what I'm saying?
They're
But when
not.
you're in your right place as a woman and you are knowing how to carry yourself, and I work through this stuff all the time. I'm not perfect. But when I have clarity of mind, things move very quickly. Things shift very quickly. When I can say what I want, that lets that man know what he needs to do to come and get me and how he needs to address himself and address me. Right? because then I've already had that vision laid out, and he's now adding to what I have.
And that's the very opposite of what we've been taught, which is why it's problems and issues. Because in
Yeah.
relationships and what we've seen in the role, because, for me growing up, it was very much this like, okay, you smile and you just you give and you give and you always show up for everybody else, and that's what the woman does. And it meant that I always looked flowery and I was pretty, and I was smart, but not too smart, because you don't want him to feel like you're smarter than him. All these contortions in order to fit myself into a smaller box, so a man could feel like a man. And in doing that, that actually diminishes men,
Him. Yep.
right? It puts us in a
It's
bad
not
space,
helpful.
and it diminishes men. It doesn't allow them to be their full of self. Basically, I'm saying you're a child, and I need to do these things so you can show up, because you won't show up on your own. I have to do all these things so you can show up, versus a woman showing up in the powerful person that she is, and a man saying, oh, well, all right then. This is what's happening here. But we have to show up in that. And these ideas of what feminine is, just like, that's not what feminine is at all. And because we have that twisted, they're also twisted, and we got all these relationship issues.
And you can
Well,
relax in that though. The thing about it is, once you show up fully as yourself, it allows you to release so much more power. You get what I'm saying? And
well,
you when
Jamaica,
you
I, I want to jump in there though. This process of releasing your power, you also have to release all of the floating opinions around you and give them permission to flow, and put your tunnel vision on. And because they are going to be what they are,
Yep.
there are still going to be people who are attempting to nibble in your ear, discredit you, put you down, get in your brain. I do agree with what you're saying. I just need to add that one important point. We have to be prepared to ignore the voices. I think when you hear these people say you're going to lose people along the way, you're going to this, you're not really lose. I don't think you're really losing the people. You're learning how to let their opinions go. And I know you literally people may fall by this wayside, but your sister, your mother, your grandmother, they're not going nowhere. But and they're going to think how they think. But there is this attitude that, your husband comes home with a car and it's like, "Ooh, they got a new car this weekend." Or your husband bought your house. "Oh, she's so successful. They just got this new house." And in my mind, they didn't get shit. He got a car. If your name's not on the deed, he got a house. This thing where we are telling women to go find a successful man, and if you find a man who is successful, you are then successful, even though you have not done any personal development or manifestation of what your true gifts and talents are. You have, if that is causing you pain, then you have to push through that, but understand that those voices are still going to be there. They're still going to have that mindset. They're still going to say, "Well, what are you doing all of that for, girl? You should be helping him build his, do his." And that is just not even really the way things are working. So I'll stop. But as we are becoming, evolving, connecting with, we've really got to protect ourselves from these outside influences who want to pull us right back to where they were or what they think. And we don't all have to think the same. And I just think it's important to be protected. So I just want to say that. So I'll stop. I have more to say, but I'm gonna stop there. Cause
Well, no, I fully agree with what you're saying, but that's also, remember I said, that's also part of that pulling yourself up to the pedestal that you want to put yourself on, because everybody's not able to be in that same place. And you have to be mindful of where people are when you're receiving information from people. Like I'm well and good, and I'm okay with listening to everyone, even to children. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody has a different view of you. So they can see, I'm really big on building community. And you have this community because people can see what you can't see. But you allow them to explain it to you, but you have to have your own discernment. And I think that's where people have an issue, is because they have a lack of their own self discernment and belief in themselves, to such a point, because of the parental issues that happen, right? The I don't want to I don't want to hug this uncle or this aunt. That's your family. Hug them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hang out with
Mm.
this person. I don't want to share my things with this person. You need to learn how to share. It's everything as a child. Excuse me. These people have been forcing you to go against yourself. And so we get to a stage where that's what we choose. We choose going against ourselves, even though we know better, because we've been
Yep.
trained to do it. And so that is where a lot of the work is at. And that's some of the work that I do, right? Help you identify where these flawed patterns are and where they come from. And then we project and we go through and we create strategies to help us get around these patterns. And I know, like I was saying, getting back with Miss Francis, she was saying, so often we settle into patterns of familiarity. And she was like, the trick is to break out of the familiar and go after what you desire until it becomes your new familiar. And
Yeah.
that is the key. But people have to also understand that it's simple. It's so simple. It's not easy, because you got to think
Right.
you've done 20 to 30 years, however old you are, of this one particular pattern. And so you can have a new mindset, and we've talked about that before. We talked about mindset, we talked about taking action. You can have a new mindset, but it's the continuous action and dealing with that guilt, right? Because you're going to have guilt regardless. You either going to have guilt where you're going against yourself, or you're going to have guilt where you're going against others. And so it's kind of like, which guilt do I want to choose in this moment, and how will I come out on the other side? And so that's
Mhm.
I like
that's
that.
a lot of where that work takes place. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I do, but that to me is the awareness. I opened up talking about this man that I work with that I can't stand. His mother left to go to work, like left the country, left him with other people. And, you know, I just think if we can identify what it is, if we can do that work. And I think we get so used to being in whatever muck we're in that it becomes normal. And it's never too late. I don't think it's never too late to come out of that. If you're willing to identify it and talk about it, get the help, have the conversation, dang, like just go say, Mom, Dad, I feel this way about this. If nothing else, I'm not a therapist. I've been to therapy, could probably use some more. But I keep leaning into this example because I see someone who walks away from exactly what he wants. But when I look at him, I'm like, okay, you you love on these women, make them fall in love with you, and then you break up with them, and then you go start over again. Like you're just gonna you're waiting for them to dump you, so you dump them before they can dump you, instead of just going forward. I think each of us in some way has that demon. That's what I'm hearing. Like we got to figure out what these things are and just face them.
But it's easier at
It's
any rate. It's
easier said than
always
done.
easier said than done, because every person has their own, like what you say, they have their own issue. You have your own miniature little demon that you're trying to work through, and it's
It's
easy for
not
us
so
to say.
miniature.
It's easy for us to say, um, you know, what's the comment that I wanted to say previously? It's easier for us to be like, oh, you know better, so do
It's
better.
easier to see it
But
than
that's
than to deal with it.
that too. But what I'm saying is, it's easier for us to say we know better, so we're gonna do better. That's a lie. Like, I hate when people say that. I'm like, that came from the pits of hell. You know better, so do better. No, you have to be fed up. And until you get to a point where you are fed up of
Yeah.
whatever it is that you're going through, you're not going to make a change. You're going to know better. Oh, I shouldn't be in this relationship because he's just verbally abusing me. Girl, bye. If you was tired, you when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you gonna make some adjustments. You get what I'm saying? I was gonna say, I beat up on Tina allegedly in the movie because real life and movie life. In the movie, I beat up on Tina until Tina got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then Tina was like, "Okay, I'm about to drag you." Like you really, you go through these things until you get beyond fed up. You get what I'm saying? Because we all know some of the things that we can do to implement in our lives for us to become a better individual. We know, like some people say, well, I know I should get up at probably 5 o'clock in the morning and get up and start working out and I should eat better. And then they still gonna go grab them a bag of chips. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm gonna go get me some. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I should stretch and drink water and mind my business, like the song say, but I want you to tell me your business. Like I'm here for it. You can tell me, I'm gonna tell you a little bit of mine, I'm gonna tell you just enough. You don't need to know all my business. Like I gotta save some for me. I don't know.
Jamaica, I'm just listening. I was listening to you and Shelly. I think the main thing for me when you talked about how we're expressing our parents in relationships, I think what I've learned for me more than anything is that I have to live my truth and be true to me. And when I start veering over to the left or over to the right for somebody else, including the person I'm in the relationship with, then that's when things go wrong. And whether I'm living as my mother or my father or whatever's coming up, I am not living my truth, then I haven't worked through my past. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get where I'm
Mhm.
going with it? Yeah. So, and it doesn't matter whether I'm showing up masculine or feminine or whatever, whether it's my truth in that moment, that's my truth. I don't know how it's expressed because I'm not, I'm not always able to say, oh, this is masculine or this is feminine, whatever. Because for me, I haven't done the work that you and Maisha have done or the study of that. I just, I just feel like if I'm not true to myself, then I'm in a bad place. So yeah.
Don't be trying to compare our work. Listen, everybody, you done did your work.
No, I know.
Look, your
I'm
journey is different from look, our journey is all different.
No, I wasn't saying it in that way. I was saying it in the sense of recognizing the feminine energy and the masculine energy and all of that. I haven't studied to get deep into that. All I'm saying is for
Me
me,
either.
woman, all I'm saying is for me, when I'm not living my truth, whether I'm in a relationship, fussing, talking, loving on or whatever, then I'm not being true to me. Serious. Period. Whether that's I don't know whether that's masculine or feminine. It's just is.
It just is. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes we get it, because I mentioned it because Shelley mentioned that book and brought it up. But I also think sometimes I do study that stuff, but that's my truth, right? That's what I'm here to do for people who that's what they're here to discover. That doesn't mean, and the problem, like Jamaica was saying, part of I think the issue with a lot of relationships, and which is why I don't like sometimes y'all send a lot of the relationship stuff. I don't look at a lot of that stuff because it's a lot of noise. It's a lot of people trying to figure things out. And there are a lot of people watching that stuff trying to say, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. And they're not doing exactly what you said, Dr. Jamisa, which and Jamisa, what you said as well, which is what's here for me. What is true in here for me. Maybe I don't call it masculine feminine. I don't care about all that. All right. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm not interested in somebody's, shadow work. I'm not interested in any of that. Out of all these things that everybody's doing right now, I don't want to drink no green tea. I don't want to do no sage and incense, right? But who am I, and what does that look like for me? And what does that look like in the healthiest version of a relationship that I
Right.
can have?
Right.
Whatever that is going to look very different for each one of us, right?
Hmm.
Whatever that is. And if people can just do that, then we'll all be better. We'll all be better off and having better sex, because y'all know.
Well, I want to I
Right.
want to chime
And
in.
because, Shelly, just one second. I just want to
Yeah,
finish
yeah.
this point out. And because we're getting so many different messages from so many different places, people think they're doing it wrong. And they
Yes.
start trying to do it the way that somebody else says they should do it.
Yes.
And then we're all out here looking stupid. I
Yes.
just want to finish there. Yeah.
No, and I want to say my version of the same thing. So I'm up. I'm taking the getting the boy ready for baseball. I'm taking him to baseball. When there's yard work that needs to be done, or designing on the house that needs to be done, and sometimes building on the house, I do it. If there's business that needs to get handled, I'm the one doing that. I'm launching that business. I'm building that thing out. And I will tell you, I have women in my family tell me you're not supposed to be doing that. He's supposed to be doing that. I'm like, well, Auntie, but it's not something he wanted to do. I wanted to do that. I wanted to put that wall up. I wanted to take that wall down. Well, he's supposed to, or the contractor's supposed to. And me putting up a wall, me outside doing yard work does not make me any less feminine. It makes me physical or physically involved, but I am not less of a woman. I don't look any worse in a gown. I can I didn't change my physical design, and I just resent these old biddies telling me that I can't do something that not only do I want to do, in many cases I have to do, because if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. So I should just leave it undone so that I can live in some ancient version of feminine. That makes no sense to me. I am not a damsel in distress. If I can't do it, I'm going to figure it the F out. And that does not remove my femininity or my title of lady. I am still a lady, always going to be a lady, but I'm a lady out in the yard throwing a log around. Damn. That's it.
And
I
and
know
I
that's
think
right.
even with some of that, like femininity and archetypes are so totally different, and people like to glue all that stuff together. But the vocabulary here and there, learning the vocabulary is nevertheless like it's just it's shit on a stick. I'm sorry, but like what Maisha and but what everybody is saying is that ultimately at the end of the day, how do we get better? Because I know that was something that Francis was writing too. Like, how do we get better? You get better by figuring out what you want and finding clarity. Like once you find clarity about yourself, who you are, who you want to be, how you want to present yourself to you and then to the world, then that's when everything changes. That's your game changer, is the clarity. You get what I'm saying? Um, and not only that, that's what empowers you the most. And when you find that empowerment, it doesn't matter what other people say. Like for me, some days I be like, I can't. Y'all know my thing. I don't shit what you eat. So I don't care what you talking about. Like that don't phase me whatsoever. However, I can take certain people, I'm gonna take what they're saying, and make sure that I value what they're saying. You get what I'm saying? You get me? Like I can value you. I can understand where you're coming from, but my choices at the end of the day, it has to be my choice. I take what you say and put it on the table. What's the positives, the negatives, in response to me. But at the end of the day, I'm not just gonna do what you say do just because you say go, and just because my parents taught me, oh, this is how I should respond. Right? The parents teach you, if I say this, you need to move when I say move. Whatever have you. I don't know.
Like that. Well, to that point, especially what you just said, it's like you were in my head, taking it back to what we were talking about in the beginning. There's two pieces here when I look at it. It's okay to know your origin story. It's okay to look back and say, oh, I developed this way because my parents did X, Y, and Z, and oh, that explains some things. I gotcha. It's still your responsibility to figure out what you want to do moving forward. You cannot be blaming people for what they did. That's what they did. They were doing the best they could. They messed it up. Grieve, cry, and make a decision. And you don't need to know your origin story. You don't got to go back to figure out what happened and why you are the way you are. You don't have to look at none of that if you don't want to. Not a thing. You don't got to do all the laying on the couch in the psychotherapy. What you can do is say, I have this behavior. I don't think I like it very much. What can I do to shift it and change it? Either or, any of the above, or none of it all. Whatever works for you. Some people like to dig it up and then clean it off and figure it out. Some people are like, I'm going to let that shit stay right where it is, but I'm going to figure out how to change this from this point on. There's no right or wrong for it. Just figure out what's going to work best for you, again, to bring you the most awareness so you can have whatever your version of the healthiest relationships possible is. What I will say, we try to tell people what to do, but what would not be in anyone's best interest is to blame other people for where you are in your life today.
Yeah,
That's not gonna help anybody. It does not gonna help you.
And that's what happens a lot. Like, people are still they're still acting as though they're that child from whenever ago, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, honey, you 30 something, you 20 something, you 50 something, whatever it is.
60 something,
Oh,
70, and 80 something.
listen.
Okay, now move. Right. So now what's the action? What's the next step? Let's move out of that mentality. But that's the hardest thing. It's because once you have thought it for so long, it becomes a belief. And that belief is what is the driving force behind your life. And it's going to take a lot of action. And of course, like I told you, you're gonna feel the guilt. Get over it. You're gonna feel guilty one way or the other. You still have to take a lot of action to move yourself forward through whatever it is in this experience, and have gratitude and celebration for yourself. Like, even me, I have to tell myself all the time, like, girl, you done came a long ways, girl. Just celebrate this thing. Look, pumping on that. Look, right, clapping on up. Like, you'll be okay. But look, we ain't gonna hold it out too much longer. Y'all know this conversation could keep going and going and going. But the ladies got to get to their work. They got to get to their real job. Y'all know I'm on get it
I'm
together.
with you. I'm with you,
I can't
Jamaica.
say
I'm with you. Okay.
even say I'm on vacation. I'm gonna get it together.
That's
We
right. That's
in
right.
in between.
Chilling.
Look, maybe me and Maisha hop on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
We talk together. Look, as we go through whatever we going through for whatever day. But anyway, look, I'm here. I'm here for the foolishness. But yeah, so I'm excited. Look, we're gonna wrap this up. I know it kind of is abrupt, but can um can y'all go ahead and shut us down? I want y'all to say y'all names and any closing remarks.
Sure. I
Well,
didn't know. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say I enjoyed the conversation today. And I'm Dr. Jamesia, and y'all know me. Just hit me up on YouTube or wherever or here. That's all I got.
I was definitely in listening mode. I appreciate the different twists and turns. I really felt like there was nothing for me to add to the conversation because the conversation was flowing and it was good. But I enjoyed listening. Um, so yeah, thanks, ladies. I'm Carmel, owner and founder of CFIT Coaching. Health, wellness, fitness, and nutrition is my jam. So I yield.
We're gonna
Shelly, you
go.
there?
And she's coming back. Yeah.
I'm
Oh, go
here.
ahead.
I'm here. I'm here. I am Shelly A. Carter out of New Jersey and founder of Housing Ministry LLC. I realized I didn't say anything about the conversation. Founder of Housing Ministry LLC, where I make homeownership attainable and sustainable. And to the conversation, man, I need a cup of coffee or a cup of something and more time and no distraction because I got a lot that I want to say. And yeah,
Maybe we
I
can
think
take
we
it
need to be talking
to a
again.
Yeah, maybe we can take it to like a clubhouse room or a part two,
Yeah,
Jamaica.
yeah,
Sure.
I would like that, honestly, Jamaica. But for me, the thing that stands out is just talking about these masculine and feminine roles. We're always going to have to deal with somebody's past, our own past, and the captain saved somebody. I'm not going to stop that, because I also find a little bit of joy in there. But what I do want to dig into is these roles and expectations, and it's just my own focus, my own therapy. Like, get up off me and stop telling me what I can't do. I take that personally. I, in case you can't hear my attitude, I take it personally. So stop telling me what is masculine and what is feminine for me. Because on Monday and Tuesday, I'm uber feminine. And on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I might be masculine. I may have some shit to handle. And then when the man comes around, I'm going to go back to damsel in distress and say, could you do that? Could you move that garbage bag? It's so heavy. I want the freedom to shift. It's my life. That's what I'm going to do. So that's what I have to say. Anyway.
And Shelley, I think that's okay. I think we all have that. I think we just need to recognize where it's sabotaging us. But yeah, I think we all have that. Everybody, masculine and feminine. So anyway, sorry to get all
No,
into your
I,
outro.
no, we're going to keep the outro going, but that is why I said I want to talk about it more, because that's the part that I think it needs to be flushed out. When is it just being human and just being you? And when is it like, hey, chick, maybe you need to stop that part? Like, okay, two of those parts were okay, but that last one, yeah, you got to cut that out. That I want to have that conversation. And I'm going to shut up now. So, Jamaica, you got your homework.
I got homework. Mm-mm.
I was going to say I'm down for that conversation as I give my thoughts. It's interesting that you say that, Shelley, and for most people, I would just take masculine and feminine out of the equation. I think it confuses folks a lot. That's my lane. I love it, but I think for the general public, it's tends to be too much. Yesterday, one of my mom's friends came over and she was helping, and she sat down and she's like, is there anything else you want me to do? And me and my brother are sitting, we're doing stuff, and we're like, I don't think so. And she jumps back up to try to find something else, and she sits back down, and she's like, like, her kids are grown and she's married. She's like, but I can't sit still. Like, I have to always be doing something. And I was like, yeah, that's a huge problem for us as women, especially Black women. It's like we always think we're supposed to be doing something. That might be a different problem versus I really enjoy cutting down trees, right? So there's the line between this brings me joy,
Mm.
and and then there's the part of, no, I'm not just supposed to sit still. I can't do that. That's lazy. Give me something to do. I gotta find something. I can't relax. I'm not allowed to do that. So that's the difference, and we can definitely have a room on that, because I think it's an issue for a lot of women, and Black women in particular. Um, but anyways, this was a good conversation. It was a great conversation. I could continue talking about relationships for the ever, because I find human interactions fascinating. That is a psychologist in me. My name is Devi Maisha, and I am a sensual energy alchemist, and I am a teacher of sensual feminine embodiment. So obviously, that is something that I study for women who are ready to embody, and that's why I say they're unique sensual expression, because it is different for every woman. It's not the same for all of us, right? Everybody doesn't have to go around wearing dresses and skirts. Like, who said that that's what feminine was? For me, sometimes it's
Right.
a pair of jeans and a leather jacket and leather boots. Like, that's very feminine to me, and I love that. But anyway, you can find me along with all of the other ladies at the link that I'm about to put up right now, because I ain't put it up right there. So anyway, that's it. Jamaica, the rest is yours.
All right. Well, I created a
Did
room,
you open a
y'all.
room? Did you schedule a room? I thought I saw something.
Yeah.
I don't even get notifications. Jamaica was on
All
it.
right.
Okay. Like, hold up. Give me a moment. Gosh, you see how she do? So,
Freedom to choose.
all right. So,
Oh.
So I did. I scheduled a room on Clubhouse. It starts in like a few minutes. Y'all really ain't got to show up if you don't want to, but you should. But I
Yeah,
mean,
they do. They could just
you
be
know,
listening. They could
y'all
just be
just
listening.
right. You know, it is what it is.
I'ma
It's
just be listening. Well, I
it.
might
Yeah.
say some stuff, but I'm driving.
I'm gonna be quiet, but when they go, I'm gonna be talking again. Look, no, but
Exactly.
but you guys, this has been a great conversation. We're going to shift it because, of course, we're women living our lives and it's busy. Look, things happen. It's busy. We got other things to do, but it's easier sometimes to talk audio versus having the video and all that good stuff. So if you want to join us, we're going to be going on to Clubhouse. To continue the conversation. But as always, you guys, we are here Tuesdays on at 7 o'clock on Facebook and on YouTube. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 o'clock on Clubhouse. Saturdays at 11 on Clubhouse. And check out the podcast. The conversations on all these platforms are similar, but they are not the same. Just to let y'all know, y'all, they working me. Y'all see this? They just working my little brain, but it's okay because you know your girl is supposed to be with all the majesties. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna be there. Okay, so we're getting where we need to be. No, but but no, it's been a great conversation, you guys. Join us. We talk about all different categories that talks about life and how we can evolve and be right and be the best version of ourselves. So if you're interested, please check us out. Follow us on the different social media platforms. Of course, the link right here below is everything that you need to know about Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. You guys, we're going to be having some virtual events coming up. You don't want to miss those, so make sure you join the notification. We also will have some brunches coming up, and y'all know your girl love a good brunch. I like to get a little razzle dazzle going on. So if you like to razzle and dazzle, please make sure y'all join those notifications, turn your notifications on, and come out. Look, come out. Meet us there. Don't be, beat us there. Don't meet us there. But to shut this thing down, you guys, I am Jamaica Anderson, 1/5 of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits, which is a magnificent community to be a part of. I am the owner and of C of look of C look owner and CEO of Harmony and Power Institute, where I help women and children who lack confidence and clarity achieve harmony and power within themselves so that they can create the life that they truly desire. So let's get out here and let's create our lives, you guys. All right. We love y'all. Bye. I gotta do my Dr. Jamesia fingers.